Now let's turn to Sri Lanka, where the new president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, has been sworn into office in Colombo. He faces the task of leading the country out of its economic collapse and restoring order after months of mass protests. Inflation has just hit an annual high of 59%. But many leaders of the protest movement have expressed disappointment at Mr. Wickremesinghe's election, making it clear that they will continue with their demonstrations. Well, our South Asia regional editor Anbarasan Ethirajan is in the capital, Colombo. And Anbarasan, the protesters may be saying that they are going to continue to demonstrate and they're unhappy with this outcome. But Ranil Wickremesinghe has also issued his own warning towards them.
Indeed, he made himself very clear about what is going on in the country regarding the protest after visiting a Buddhist temple. He made it very clear that it was not democracy when you storm into government buildings and topple a government. And he also said the law will take its own course and those who create trouble, those who indulge in violence will be dealt with according to the law. That's a clear warning to the protesters and others who have been on the streets for the past few months. And now I'm looking at the protest side. This place used to be, full of people, hundreds, thousands, in fact, tens of thousands at one point of time. And many of the protesters have now left. And what we understand is there is a split within the movement itself, with some saying that we should continue with the protest because we see Mr. Wickremesinghe as someone with close ties with the Rajapakshas, but of course Mr. Wickremesinghe denies. And the other section feel that we should give him some time and we should reassess the situation after a few months because the country is going through a crisis. And he was sworn in as the president this morning, in which many former presidents and officials attended. And again, it is a big turnaround for Mr. Wickremesinghe's career. 2 months ago, no one would have thought he would become the president, but he was made the prime minister to the surprise of many people. A 73-year-old politician, he's been in politics for 4 decades, and how he managed it, people could not believe, because he's the only MP from his own party.
Yeah, and I suppose, are you hinting at the fact, Anbarasan, that there may be some then who are wanting to wait and see how Wickremesinghe will do, that perhaps because he has been in the game for 40 years and he has good ties with countries like India and the United States, that perhaps he's a safe pair of hands and they want to see how this unfolds?
Critics here would say that he's not popular with the public here because he lost his own parliamentary seat just 2 years ago, and he came to the parliament through a system called national list based on the percentage of votes the party got. But on the other hand, externally, people see him as someone who's the right man for the job at the moment, because this job not only requires looking after the Sri Lankan affairs. This is the time when you need to engage with the big powers like China, Japan and India to bring the money into the country, which they desperately need, and also talk with the institutions like the IMF. And they have another big job to restructure the debt. They have $51 billion debt, and they have already defaulted. Mr. Wickremesinghe himself said a few weeks ago the country has gone bankrupt. So that means they have a big challenge of asking these creditors to restructure the loan. We don't know how far China is going to be receptive to the idea, because China doesn't like restructuring loan. It wants a rollover loan. So people think he's the right man for the job. But others would question, what is the legitimacy of Mr. Wickremesinghe? What he has done is legal through the constitution, but is he popular with the Sri Lankan public?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. This is not the end of this story. Thanks very much, Anbarasan. We will, of course, continue to speak with you.